There are a lot of travel credit cards on the market right now, and it can be a lot of work trying to figure out which ones are likely to be the most beneficial to you based on your own spending habits. Having to keep track of everything from high annual fees to complicated rules for getting points and statement credits to transfer partners and travel benefits and so on, it's really all kind of a mess to sort through. So I put together a fairly straightforward spreadsheet that will do all of that calculating for you so you never have to think about this again. There's a link in the description, so anybody can download it, put it on their own Google Drive. And the basic idea here is that you put in how much you spend each year in various categories, and the spreadsheet will figure out which travel card setup will be most valuable to you. So let's just quickly go through how this works in a bit more detail. The list of cards I've programmed in is at the bottom of the spreadsheet, and for each one you'll see the number of points and the total net value you should expect to earn by using those cards. I'm focusing here on flexible travel card setups, by which I mean a card that earns points or miles that can be transferred to a wide range of travel partners so that you can get outsized value for those rewards. I also don't have any business cards listed here. That might be something I add in the future if there are enough people interested in it. So a card setup, in this case, will include one of these flexible travel cards and any other cards offered by the same issuer whose points can be combined together. For example, I have a block of setups here revolving around the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. The first row tells you how much value you'd get if you only had that one card, just the Sapphire Reserve. And the following rows tell you how much you'd get if you added additional cards like the Chase Freedom Unlimited or the Chase Freedom Flex, or both, and used those cards in addition to the Sapphire Reserve in the most optimal way possible. That would mean, for example, using the Freedom Unlimited card for all non-category spend, so you get 1.5 points per dollar on that spend instead of just 1. The main input table is the one at the top left, with the spending categories listed in column A and the dollar amounts you should plug in column B. Most of these categories are pretty self-explanatory. If you spend $6,000 in groceries each year, then you should put $6,000 in this box. Of course, you should only put in a dollar amount that you actually plan on spending on these travel cards. So for example, if you have something like the American Express Blue Cash Preferred card, which gets 6% cash back on groceries, and you plan on putting all of your grocery spend on that rather than one of these travel cards, then you should actually put 0 in this box. It's also important to keep in mind that the categories of flights, hotels, and rental cars all assume that you make those purchases through the credit issuer's travel portal. So like through Chase Ultimate Rewards or the equivalent. So for example, if you have status with a hotel chain and you always book hotels directly through the hotel's website so that you earn loyalty points and reap the benefits of your status, then you should not include that spend in the hotel category. Instead, you should put it in the other travel category, category 12. The same goes with rental cars. Otherwise, other travel would just include things like Airbnb or Uber or train rides and stuff like that. Probably the most important category in this list is category 9, what I call transfer-worthy travel purchases. These are going to be the kind of purchases that you would want to preferentially redeem points for by transferring the points to a partner program. So something like an international or business class flight, or a flight booked on short notice, or a luxury hotel stay, something where point redemptions are particularly valuable. You'll want to put in the cash price of those purchases in this box, meaning what you would have to spend if you were not using points. So like the full cost of a business class flight, for example. Keep in mind that this is annualized spend. So if you take a trip that would be worth about $5,000, let's say, but you only do something like that every other year, then you should put $2,500 in this box. You can still use the spreadsheet even if you don't plan on transferring points out to partners. You would just set this box equal to 0. But in that case, you may also want to consider adding cash back cards to your setup, which is not something that I'm considering here. Then to the right of that entry are the point multiplier values for those transferred redemptions. This is how much the value of points should be multiplied by when redeemed in this way. So a value of 2 means that points are worth 2 cents each when transferred to partners. You can put a different value in for each of the 4 issuers listed here. So for example, if you think Chase points are more valuable because Chase partners with Hyatt, for example, then you can account for that difference in value by changing the numbers here. If you don't know what value to assign these points, a good place to start would be the Points Guy's valuation chart, which I will put a link to down in the description below. Assuming these values are relatively high, which is kind of the whole point of them, the calculation will assume that you will use points for these transferred travel purchases first before spending them any other way so that you get maximum value out of your points. After that, you can fill in the subcategory spend in the table below. This is the amount you spend in certain areas that some cards give statement credits or extra points for, like the rotating 5% cashback categories for the Chase Freedom Flex card. The reason I call these subcategories is that you should treat them as part of the main categories up above. For example, if you spend $200 on Uber every year, you should put that $200 in the Uber subcategory and also in the other travel main category up above. In that case, other travel should be at least $200. And finally, if you want to, you can assign a dollar value to a few of the perks that come with some of these cards, like lounge access, TSA PreCheck, or cell phone protection. For example, if having access to the Amex and Delta Sky Club lounges is really important to you, you might give that a higher dollar value. Or if you don't need cell phone protection because you always get Apple Care, then you can set that to $0. These dollar amounts will be added to the net values column of any card that has those perks. And that's pretty much it. Once you punch in those numbers, the spreadsheet will highlight in green the highest net value number in column G. That will tell you which card combination will give you the most value. You will almost certainly find that having multiple cards is better than having just one, but if you only want to manage one card, then you can just compare the top line of each block to find out which single card will be most valuable to you. Then all you have to do is apply. I wanted to keep this video short, so I won't go into more detail about how exactly the calculations are done. Of course, you can just look through the cell expressions and figure it out yourself. And I also have a list of possible sources of error in the calculation at the top right of the sheet, but I don't expect any of these to have a significant impact on your results. That being said, if enough people are interested, I can make a separate video where I go through the calculation in more detail and explain everything that goes into it. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you would be interested in seeing. Also, if you catch a mistake I made somewhere, please let me know. I'll try to fix it as soon as possible. And if there are any other cards or combos you think belong on this list, leave those in the comments as well. If I get enough support, I can keep the spreadsheet up to date going forward and add in your requests. Speaking of which, if you find this tool useful, please like and share this video and the spreadsheet. That would really go a long way for me since this is my first attempt at making this kind of content. And if you're feeling generous and want to support this work directly, you can leave me a tip through Venmo or Cash App, and I will be forever grateful. You can find my tags on the spreadsheet. Thanks so much for your support.